speak about tzadikim. We're going to speak about the koach, the power that some tzadikim they had, and why is it so important to be connected to a tzadik. You know, Rabotai, when we think about being connected to a tzadik, it's a very controversial subject. Because why are you praying to the tzaddik? How can you pray to the tzaddik to help you? How can a person pray to the tzaddik? How does that work?
הסברת שלפי השושלת הצינור יותר מגיע מהר למעלה.
עזוב את השושלת, בוא נשים את השושלת בצד. When you stand and you pray, you say, Rabbi Chaim Pinto, I need your help. How does that work? So, the answer to that, Rabbi, is simple. When we pray to the tzaddikim and we have full emunah in the tzaddik, there's two things that happen. When we have our full faith in the messenger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we strengthen our faith in what? In HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we pray to the tzaddik, we are not praying to the tzaddik. We're praying what? With the merit of the tzaddik. So we're saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm small. I can't reach you. But you know what? If I ask this tzaddik where he's closer to you, he's at a higher level, with his merit, he will reach you for me. And that, Rabotai, is the little point of having a tzaddik that the person is connected to. The little point of having the tzaddik, that the tzaddik takes our bakashot, takes our tefillot, and brings it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's something very interesting that we see in Birkat Kohanim. What's Birkat Kohanim, Rabotai? Birkat Kohanim is every single Shabbat, that when the Kohanim, they lift their hands with the talit. What did it say in Birkat Kohanim? V'samu et shemi al bnei Yisrael, v'ani evarchem. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, tell the Kohanim to lift their hands, and I will bless Bnei Israel. Okay. If Hashem is going to bless Bnei Israel, why do you need the Kohanim? If the Torah itself says, just tell the Kohanim to lift their hands, but really, me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to bless them. So why do you need the Kohanim? Through them. They are the messenger, they are the pipeline, where we receive our bracha through them, and we also give our bakashot, our request through them. So that, Rabotai, is a little introduction of why it is important to connect to a tzaddik, to have a tzaddik where a person is connected to, not only with that he likes his stories, but you feel a connection to his neshama, and by finding that tzaddik, you are one step closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now we're going to start our shiur.
I have a question. So the tzaddik, if he passed away, you can still connect.
גדולים צדיקים במיתתם מהשם מחייהם. חולין דף זין. Tzadikim are bigger when they're not longer in this world. They're bigger when they're already in the world to come. Than in this world. Okay, Rabotai. There's a beautiful story in the Pinkas Keila. Pinkas Keila was a book that was written of all the mikrim, all the things that happened in Lublin. Now the Pinkas Keila is essentially the hard drive of all the history that happened in Lublin. Chachamim sat down and wrote this book, which is called Pinkas Keila, where all the things that they did not want to forget, they put into that book. But that book was very specific on what information it put inside. Because it was only one book. So everything that was put inside the Pinkas Keila had a reason, had a purpose, and it was with very careful writing that every word is short and every word is for exactly what they need. In the Pinkas Keila, there's a story of Harashal. Harashal lived in Lublin, and he had the famous yeshiva, Hayam Shlomo. Hayam Shlomo was a yeshiva that any person that was big in the Torah, any person that was really showed talent in learning Torah, would go to the Hayam Shlomo. They had the best rabbis, best students. Harashal, Rabbi Shlomo, he was the teacher. So that yeshiva was known and it was famous for being the strongest yeshiva that existed in Lublin in all the surroundings. It was told about one of the little cities that were around Lublin, that there lived a young couple. That this young couple, they loved each other. Shalom Bait was perfect, but they didn't have atzlacha in almost anything they did. Panasa, they didn't have atzlacha. They would work and try, nothing. Kids, they were not able to have kids. Everything was perfect, but the parnasa and the kids, they did not have. One day, the husband of this couple goes to his wife, and he said, you know, we already live with such poverty. We already live so tight, we have no parnasa. So if we're already living like this, let's move to Lublin. Let me learn in the yeshiva, and maybe by me learning in the yeshiva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us bracha. So when the wife heard this, she said, it's a good idea. Maybe by moving, we're going to bring bracha. Maybe by you learning in the yeshiva, you will bring us bracha. Maybe things will change. Maybe we'll have a kid. Maybe our parnasa will change. So she took upon herself that while her husband will learn in the yeshiva, she will work to bring bread on the table. They moved to Lublin, and he went into the yeshiva, and because he saw the hard work that his wife put in order for him to learn the yeshiva, he worked hard in the yeshiva. And he grew and grew and became one of the strongest students that learned in the yeshiva Vayam Shlomo. For meanwhile, his wife needed to bring parnasa. She didn't have any profession, and at those times, being a woman was very hard. The only thing that she was able to do was she had the job to be a koves. What is a koves? A person that cleans laundry. A person that cleans laundry. Now, not like today that you press a button and everything twists. Then, Rabotai, it was very hard work. It was a very low-class job. It was a job that took a lot of the human power in order to do. It was not an easy job. And there, for 10 years, she worked from the morning to the night as a lady that cleans laundry, working hard in order for her husband to learn the yeshiva. 10 years, no kids, the parnasa didn't change. After 10 years of her working so hard, her body took a toll. She started to feel weak. She started to feel sick. She started to feel tired. One day, she felt that today is the last day I'm going to be alive. She calls her husband. She tells her husband, I want you to come right away. This is what happened. He said, I feel that today is going to be my last day. And because today is going to be my last day, before I go, I want you to make a swear to me. So he looked at her and he said, why are you saying this? Why are you saying that today is going to be your last day? So she said, look, for 10 years, I gave my life, I gave my body, my soul, everything for you to learn Torah. My body is tired, that's it. So he looked at her, he said, Chas v'shalom, let's go to the Rav, let's get a bracha. You can't say that today is the last day and that's it. She said, I fear that today is the last day. I'm asking you, make a swear to me before I go. He said, I don't believe that today is going to be your last day, but whatever is going to make you feel comfortable, I'll do. So I said, okay, what do you want? She said, I'm asking you, if I die, swear to me that you will never marry another woman.
Wow.
Now he said, I'll do the swear because I know everything's going to be okay. So he looked at his wife and he swore, if something happens to her, he will never marry another woman. He just swore. She closed her eyes, passed away. This boy buried his wife. He did Shiva. All the yeshiva came to sit Shiva with him. All the yeshiva was sad with him. The 7 days passed, the Shiva, he got up from the Shiva. 30 days of mourning passed. The year of mourning passed. And this boy was very engaged in learning. He used to be very engaged in the learning of the Torah. But slowly he started to sit in the corner. He wasn't involved with the yeshiva. He wasn't a part of the yeshiva. He would sit in the corner, he would be quiet, and he wasn't the same student that he was. Years passed, and Hayam Shlomo, that's the nickname we call him in the halacha, sees his student, his best student, which is completely slacking, his best student, which is not what he used to be. So Hayam Shlomo went to this boy. He said, why are you so sad? Why did you change? You used to be so light. You used to be so much Torah full of you. What happened? So in the beginning, he started to say, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. He started to give all excuses. Hayam Shlomo said, no, don't tell me stories. Tell me the truth. Tell me the bottom line, what happened. He said, I lived with my wife. My wife gave her life. She gave her body. She gave her soul in order for me to learn Torah. Before she passed away, she made me swear that if she passes away, he will never marry another woman in his life. And now that I did that swear, I'm in my house. We know what the halakha says, that a person that's not married is considered to be dead. That's the halakha. So I'm in my house. In order to avoid himself from having this thought of even getting married, what did he do? He closed himself off. He said, if I close myself off, I won't even give myself the opportunity to want to get married. Hayam Shlomo, when he heard this, he said, there's no way, there's no such thing as a swear like that. There's no such thing as a swear that I won't get married. Whatever swear that you did to your wife, it's nothing. You have to get married. So Hayam Shlomo, right away, looked around, found a kala, and he told this boy, I am ordering you to marry her. So he said, whatever the Rosh Yeshiva tells me, whatever the Rav and Tzadik tells me, I can't go against the Rav. So they started to prepare the wedding 3 months before. They started to organize it. They were preparing. Someone prepares that. They prepared the house. At the time, you had to build a house. It's not today that you go to Igal to rent one. You had to build a house. It was mamash a big deal. The day of the wedding comes, and they're looking for the khatan. The kala is getting ready, but the khatan, the groom, is nowhere to be found. All the yeshiva, they start to spread out to look for the khatan. One of the boys walks in an alley, looks on the floor, and what does he see? He sees the khatan in the corner, dead. The whole yeshiva, they look at this, they go, what happened? One of the bachurim stand up, one of the boys stand up. He said, I heard that he told the Rav that he swore to not get married, and we know what happens that a person swears and doesn't keep his swear. And today he was about to get married, so Hashem punished him. So the students came to Hayam Shlomo and told Hayam Shlomo, how can you do that? How is it possible that you caused one of the biggest Talmidei Chachamim in our yeshiva to die? Hayam Shlomo, when he heard this, he said, what am I going to do about this? The Bachur, he left this world. So he told the yeshiva, take his body, prepare him to bury him. And at the time there was a minhag, also only for the big admorim they do it today, where they clean them in the Bet Knesset, and they walk them from the Bet Knesset to the graveyard. There's no car, they don't take them by car, they take them from the Bet Knesset, they walk. The whole Keilah walks with them to the graveyard. So he said, after you take them from the Bet Knesset and you walk him when you walk the body to the graveyard, before you enter the gates of the graveyard, you stop. You don't enter the graveyard without me showing up. The moment you reach the gates, you send someone to call me. So they prepared the body to be buried. They take the body, the whole city is walking from the shul to the graveyard. They arrive to the gates and they say, stop. We have to call Hayam Shlomo right away. They run, they call Hayam Shlomo. Hayam Shlomo takes a piece of parchment, puts it on the body, takes a pen, and he writes, Akadosh Baruch Hu, I told this student that whatever swear he made was not a swear. Give me back my student. He took the parchment, he rolled it, put it in the hands of the niftar. He said, Yalla, bury him. They took the body, they put him in the ground, they buried the body, and everyone spread out, everyone went to their home. 2 hours later, the city looks out the window, and they see somebody running out of the graveyard, wearing the clothes of a person that they bury with, and he's running in the city, and they look, who is it? It's that boy, the student. The whole city, when they see this, they get shocked. Everyone run to their room, everyone hide, everyone go to their place. No one wants to be in front of the person. Are you scared? No one wants to be in front of the person that they just buried. Now he's running in the city. Where did he run? He ran to where? To the house of Hayam Shlomo. He bangs on the door of Hayam Shlomo. He tells Hayam Shlomo, what do I do? Ma?
It's a TV show.
He bangs on the door of Hayam Shlomo.
Season 5.
He bangs on the door of Hayam Shlomo. And he tells Hayam Shlomo, what do I do? So Hayam Shlomo, he himself was happy. He said, now that you're alive, you go get married. But before you get married, tell me what happened up there. So he said, you know, when they was walking me to the court of up there, I stood in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu while they were judging me, and I realized that I was holding something in my hand. And when I looked in my hand, I was holding a piece of parchment. So I gave that piece of parchment to the angels. When the angels read it, he said, we have to do what the tzaddik asks. HaTzaddik gozer, Hashem mekayem. Whatever the tzaddik gozer, whatever the tzaddik decides, HaKadosh Baruch Hu must listen to it. And that is also the pasuk, Retzon Yirav Yaseh. Retzon Yirav Yaseh. The will of the tzaddikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. So right away, they had to send me back to the world. So, the Pinkas Kehila says that he went to the yeshiva, but now no one wants to go close to him. He's the man that was buried and he came back. So no one wanted to marry him. Rabbi Hayam Shlomo called that student. And the student said, look, you brought me back from the dead to get married. And now that I'm back, no one wants to marry me. So what did you do? You should have left me there. So Hayam Shlomo said, we're going to do something like this. Bring me the Pinkas Kehila. Let's write this story down. Because I'm going to call the angel of, how do you call it? Shechicha. Your father said it.
Forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness. The angel of forgetfulness. And I'm going to make this angel that the entire city will forget your story. But before we make it happen, it must be written in a place where we'll be kept safe. And that, Rabotai, is where this story and how the story was put inside the Pinkas Kehila. The story was put inside the Pinkas Kehila because that was the only place where it will be kept safe, where no one will open it, but it will not be forgotten. We see, Rabotai, when a tzaddik decides something, when a tzaddik asks for something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the obligation to fulfill the will of the tzaddik. Now, if we are able to connect to the tzaddik, and if we are able to share merit with the tzaddik, our will becomes the will of who? Of the tzaddik. The will of the tzaddik, HaKadosh Baruch Hu must bring. That, Abotai, is the importance of being connected to a tzaddik. When you're connected to a tzaddik, we're able to use his position to benefit us. There's a beautiful story with Rabbi Naftali Mikatz. This story shows us the koach, the power that a tzaddik has, not only in this world, but the power that tzaddik has in other worlds. It was told about Rabbi Naftali that one day there was a very rich man that lived near Rabbi Naftali. That this very rich man had a daughter. That this daughter was his only daughter. This daughter was his prized possession. This daughter grew up and she came to the age of getting married. He brought her to Rabbi Naftali Mikatz and he told Rabbi Naftali, you know, this is my daughter, help me find the shidduch. Rabbi Naftali said, you know, I have a Talmid Chacham. I have a boy which is a real tzaddik, Talmid Chacham, very smart, very learned, where I think he could be a very good match for your daughter. So they brought him, they did the shidduch, it all worked out, they prepared the wedding, and they got married. After they got married, this chatan was very tough. In the beginning, it started by not being warm with his wife, then it being to not talking to his wife, then it got to a point where him and his wife had no connection. And this chatan brought a lot of pain to his wife. The wife, the daughter of the rich man, was sick of it. She was upset. One day, she gets up near her husband while he was eating, not talking to her, and he started to scream. She started to scream. Why is it that before we got married, you showed a different face, and now that we're married, you're completely day and night? He got up. He left the house. She waited 15 minutes for him to come back. She waited an hour. She waited 2 hours. She waited 3 hours. Nothing. 1 day passed. 2 days passed. Her husband is nowhere to be found. It went from days to weeks and weeks to months. And it became years where the husband is gone, vanished. Now this lady, this used to be Kala, is in a position that we called what? Aguna. She can't get married because she's still married. Now, because no one knows where he is, she's stuck. The rich man came to Rabbi Naftali and told Rabbi Naftali, you know, Rabbi Naftali, you made me the shidduch. I don't want to bother you, but what do I do in this situation? My daughter's already years aguna. What do I do? Rabbi Naftali, he said, what can we really do? Come back tomorrow. And when you come back tomorrow, hopefully I'll have a solution. Rabbi Naftali went to his yeshiva. He stood in front of all the students. And he told all the students, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to put myself in a different world of kavanah. A different world. I'm going to elevate my neshama to a different place. But be careful. I'm going to do it 3 times. After I do it 3 times, don't let me go under. Don't let me faint. Because if I go under, I leave this world. So if you see that I'm losing connection with my body, beat me up. Slap me, hit me with a stick, anything. Anything you have to, shake me, make sure that I don't fall, because if I fall, I lose this world. So all the students, they were shocked, they prepared water, they prepared sticks, that if the Rav, they see that he starts to faint, his neshama starts to go up, wake him up. He closes his eyes, he starts to do kavanot. They see he starts to, in Hebrew we call it lishkoa, to sink, where the neshama, the body sinks and the neshama leaves. Lishkoa we call it. The moment that Rabbi Naftali, the first time he goes in, and he starts to leave his body, the students quickly, they start to shake him. They shake him, they hit him, he wakes up. After he wakes up, he said, okay, again, let's do it again. They do it again. He starts to have kavanot, and he starts to become red, he starts to stop breathing, maybe his heart even stopped, and again they shake him and they shake him and they hit him, they spill water on him, they wake him up. The 3rd time, they say, he told all the students, this time it's going to be the hardest. Do not let me sink. Do not let me leave my body. So again, he closes his eyes, starts to go into kavanot, and he becomes blue this time. He's mamash 1 second before leaving, and the students start to hit him and hit him and hit him. He wakes up. After he wakes up, he says, call the father quickly. They call the father. He says, right away, take Dayanim, go to the city of Lublin. The city of Lublin was the center of all the Torah in Russia at that time. All the big Tzadikim came from Lublin. Go to Lublin. Go to an Achsania. An Achsania is like a hotel, like a restaurant. That's how.
Hostel?
Hostel, Achsania, something like that. And he gave them all the details of the location. When you will go there, you're going to see 2 generals and 1 soldier sitting down in this Achsania, in this restaurant. The soldier, he's the Khatan. So go and make him write a get. Do whatever you have to do. If you have to bribe him, you bribe him. If you have to convince, anything you do, write him a get. The rich man, he heard this, he said, okay, we have to do it. He was very rich, he was very fast to organize a couple of kirkaot, chariots, horses, and they run to Lublin. They arrive to Lublin, they go to the street where Rabbi Naftali told them, they enter the Achsania, and they see 2 generals and a soldier. They come to the soldier and they tell the soldier, let us give you money. Your wife, she's aguna all these years. Your wife, all these years, she's stuck. Please, write a get. He said, I'm not writing a get. So they said, we'll give you money. We'll give you any money you want. Just write a get. He said, I'm not writing a get. They went to the generals. He told the generals, your soldier is married, doesn't want to divorce his wife. Give us money, force him to write the get. When the generals heard this, he said, there's no way. a soldier must give the get to his wife. So they come back to the soldier and they tell the soldier, you know, your generals said that you must write a get. So he looked at all the dayanim, he looked at all the people that came with the rich man. He said, who cares what the general said? Who cares what the king said? Who cares about anyone? I don't want to give the get. I'm not going to give the get. When the generals heard this, the main general pushed everyone, pulled out a sword, and cut his head off. When they looked at the body, they said, what do we do? Can we at least take it with us? Can we bring him to the city? Can we bury him? Can we at least do something with him? Don't, because they know that if those going will take it, that's it. The general said, look at his face, make sure that it's him, that you recognize 2 witnesses see that it's him, and you go. That's it, we're taking the body. They took the body, the generals, they left. The rich man comes back to Rabbi Naftali. He tells Rabbi Naftali, what happened? I actually don't know. What was this whole story? How did you know that he was there? What is this whole story? Rabbi Naftali looked at this rich man and said, you know, when your khatan, when your son-in-law left the house, he was walking in the he was walking in the forest. And in the forest, there was a group of thieves that caught him. When they caught him, they took everything he had, and they wanted to kill him. Your khatan was very smart. He told them, why kill me? I am very smart. Let's work together, and I will make whatever you steal now, we can double it and triple it. But let's work together, don't kill me. So they worked together for years, and for years they were stealing, they were doing one big robbery to another big robbery, and they were very successful because of his brains, and he was very fast to understand things. So they did a lot of bad. After, when they had a big pile of money and all the robberies that they did, and now they cut it to who takes what, he said, you know, I brought all the expertise. I deserve half of it. Those thieves, when they heard that, they took out a sword and killed your khatan. Your khatan, that with will helped to steal. Your khatan with will helped to kill. Your khatan with will left his wife and didn't care. Shamayim, they wanted to punish him hard. So they put him in the 3rd level of Gehenna. They put him in the lowest level of hell. And there he was sitting and burning. When you came to me and you wanted to free your daughter, I knew that it wasn't possible. Your daughter was supposed to be aguna for the rest of her life. But I decided to help you. When I went to the yeshiva and I went into the kavanot 3 times, every time I went into my kavanot, what did I do? I went down another level in Gehenna and pulled the neshama of your khatan up another level. Up another level. And after the 3rd time that I did it, I was able to send his neshama where? I was able to send his neshama to the body of that soldier. I was able to fix his tikkun, to finish his tikkun, by giving the get and by being punished by being killed the way he was killed. And that is how we freed your daughter. But then we see the koach, the power that a tzaddik has when he's still in this world, but still the effect and to somewhat control the tzaddik can have even on worlds that don't belong to us. The tzaddik is essentially like an angel. He's a helper, not a helper. He's a soldier of who? Of Hashem. The soldier of Hashem can do what? He has power in Hashem's world. The soldier of Hashem does not need to have only power in this world, but the soldier of Hashem, the real person that sticks to Hashem all his life, he can also do things in the world to come. A beautiful story. With here, we're going to go to my grandfather, but my great-great-grandfather, Rabbi Chaim Pinto. At Rabbi Chaim Pinto, we all know Rabbi Chaim Pinto Agadol, the first. No need to lengthen stories about Rabbi Chaim Pinto. But when Rabbi Chaim Pinto passed away, there was a big tsar in the city, a lot of tsar. Sorrow? Agony, sorrow, sadness. that the tzaddik is no longer there. Before there was a tzaddik, Aharon Pinto, the big tzaddik of Pinto. Now there's no tzaddik. The city has no more kedusha. It's different. Now in Morocco there was a minhag, which is very, very interesting minhag. Whenever the tzaddik would pass away, they would not bury the tzaddik like a regular person. Whenever the tzaddik would pass away, they would stand around the body and they would sell pieces of the tzaddik. What does that mean? They would say, okay, who's going to hold the hand of the tzaddik when we pull him down to the grave? And then they sell at auction, 200, 300, 400, and that's how they used to do it. There was a very rich man that entered the city, came from far, far away, to get a bracha from Rabbi Chaim Pinto. The day he arrived was the day of what? Was the day that Rabbi Chaim Pinto passed away. So, he enters the city, asking Rabbi Chaim Pinto. They said, Rabbi Chaim Pinto just passed away. They're burying him. This man, he said, I traveled so far to get a bracha from Rabbi Chaim. I have to at least be close to Rabbi Chaim. So he went to the Alvaya, and he stood on the front of the line, and he brought a big bag of money. He said, I will buy any money to carry Rabbi Chaim and between the big mitzvah, the last mitzvah, the mitzvah of helping the person that passed away. It's one of the biggest mitzvot. It's one of the mitzvot that have the most value. If you help a person that is no longer in this world, there's no more, in value, there's no more bigger mitzvah. Because it's a mitzvah that you're not, there's no way that you're expecting to receive anything in return. He's passed away, he can't return you anything. He stands in the front and they start auctioning who's going to hold the head of Rabbi Chaim Pinto when they take him down to the grave. This rich man said 200, they said 300. And like that, they went up the bid. Nobody could top the rich man. He bid the highest bid and he won. He took the merit to walk Rabbi Chaim Pinto and to carry his head and to bury him. This rich man, he stands in front of Rabbi Chaim Pinto. He was sad that this is how he has to stand in front of Rabbi Chaim Pinto. He thought it would be in a better circumstances, but any way he could stand in front of the tzaddik, he was willing to take it. He buries Rabbi Chaim Pinto. He sits down with Rabbi Chaim Pinto. They cover him. He comes to pay, and a robber runs by, a young Arab, takes the bag and runs. This man said, what am I going to do now? I outbid everyone. I scream amounts that nobody thought that were possible. Now, I don't have a penny to pay him with. I don't even have $1 to pay the people that they auctioned this mitzvah off. What am I going to do? And he sat down and he started to cry, and to pray now in the mirror of Rabbi Chaim Pinto. A couple of minutes later, you see a man running from far, far away. And this man is screaming. They look closely. Who is it? It's the young boy. He's holding in his hand the bag, and he's running and screaming. He runs by them, he throws the bag back onto the rich man, and he's screaming and running. They said, catch him. They ran, they caught him, they brought him. They ran, they caught him, and they brought him. And they asked him, no, what happened? What made you bring back what you stole? He said, you know, I used to take care of Rabbi Chaim. I was very close to Rabbi Chaim. I was neighbors with Rabbi Chaim Pinto. I know how he looked. When I stole that money and I ran into the city, I looked behind him and I saw someone chasing me. When I looked closely, he realized that who was chasing him? Rabbi Chaim Pinto. And Rabbi Chaim Pinto chased him until he arrived to the graveyard and returned what he stole. The koach, Rabotai, of even a tzaddik, when he's no longer in this world, how he can affect people that are alive in this world. And here, Rabotai, I'm going to say one more story that some of you know it, and here I finish. And in this story, don't worry, it's going to wake you up, this story, because this one's a little bit of a... You have to think, it's not clear what is going on. Story with Noam Elimelech. נועם אלימלך, אתם זוכרים את הסיפור? אתם זוכרים? נועם אלימלך. Okay, רבותיי. It's a beautiful story of Noam Elimelech, and this is where we finish with the koach of the tzaddik using what? The Torah. that the Torah is the biggest koach that exists in the world, and the Torah is the biggest koach that the tzaddik uses in the world. It was told about Rabbi Noam Elimelech that in his yeshiva, he heard about a young boy, that this young boy started to fall from Torah and mitzvot. This young boy was no longer interested in the Torah and mitzvot. Why? Because he wanted something more mystical. So what did he start to learn? No. He started to learn shchor. He started to learn sorcery. Shchor, we call it in English black magic. Shchor, we call it shchor. And Rabbi Noam Elimelech heard that he's now very deep into the learning of the Tumah. It's not Kabbalah Ma'asit where you're using the koach of the Kedusha. Here they're using the koach of what? Of the Tumah. Now Rabbi Noam Elimelech said, how am I going to bring back a boy that is not interested in Torah, he's not interested in learning a daf Gemara, he's interested in the dark, the power. He didn't want that power to do good with it. He wanted that power of Tum'ah to do something bad with it. So Rabbi Noam Elimelech said, what can I do for this boy? How can I bring him back? He told his Gabaim that on the upcoming Friday night, arrange that he will come and eat with me Friday night Shabbat. So the tefillah comes. Friday night comes, and he goes to Bet Knesset, and Rabbi Noam Elimelech, he said, I'm going to sit next to him, start to speak to him. Like that, lat, I'm going to convince him to come to my house Shabbat. He sat down, he spoke to him, he made him come. Marco. He made him come Friday night to his house. He sits down on the table of Rabbi Noam Elimelech, and they're talking Divrei Torah, they're talking about the week, how everything, how was your week, Baruch Hashem. The boy looks at Rabbi Noam Elimelech, and he says, it's starting to get very hot in the house. So Rabbi Noam said, I'm not hot at all, I'm very comfortable. So this boy said, okay, maybe it's just me a couple of minutes, maybe because I ate something good. A couple of minutes pass, and the boy said it's getting very, very hot in the room. So Rabbi Noam says, take off your jacket, what can I tell you? He takes off his jacket, the boy sits down again, he says, Rabbi Noam, I can't breathe. The room is, I feel like I'm sitting in an oven. Now everyone around the table are in covers, they're in sweaters, and he's the only one that is sweating, he can't breathe how hot it is. He took off his jacket, then he took off his button down, then he took off his first layer of pants, and his second layer of pants, and he ended up being just t-shirt and one pair of pants. And he was screaming, and the story said that he felt like his skin was melting off of his body. So he tells Rabbi Noam, what do? I can't breathe. So Rabbi Noam says, okay, come. Go outside, get some fresh air to breathe, but look at your watch very carefully. Do not allow even a minute to pass. I only allow you to be outside for 10 minutes. But be very careful. Don't pass the 10 minutes. So this boy, he couldn't breathe. He runs out the house. His head is very dizzy, very hot. It's like, imagine Abota, your head is, the liquid in your brain is getting hot. He starts to walk and he's dizzy. And suddenly he opens his eyes and he starts to realize where is he. And he finds himself where? In the middle of desert. In the middle of nowhere. Now suddenly, it starts to snow. He starts to feel the cold. And he's wearing what?
T-shirt.
A t-shirt. So he starts to shake. He starts to mamash. Now he feels the cold. He starts to run. And he finds himself, and everywhere he runs is desert. Suddenly, from far, far away, he sees a little cabinet. With this little cabinet, a little light that's on. He starts to run towards the cabinet. He knocks on the door, and an old man opens the door. He asks the old man, can I sit? Can I eat something? I'm confused. I don't know where I am. So he enters inside, and the old man gives him clothing to wear, gives him food to eat, and he sits him down. After everything became clear to him, he said, where am I? So he told him, you are in the middle of Russia. And he looks, he goes, how did I get here? I don't even know how am I going to get home. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of miles away from my city. How did I find myself? I just walked outside the house, and now I'm in the other side of the country, on the other side of Russia. So the old man said, listen, that is where you are. The next day, this man, he's on the other side of the world. He has no money. He has to start a life for himself. This young boy. So what did he do?
Go to the army.
He went to the Russian army. He enrolled in the army and he went as a soldier. 3 years he was a soldier. After 3 years he became a general. He went up 1 tier. After another 3 years he went up another tier. After another 3 years he went up another level. And every year that he would continue in the army, he would become a bigger and bigger general. Until he got to the point where he controlled the most powerful army in Russia. And every single city that his army would go to attack, they were guaranteed to take over the city. And they were going city by city, destroying city by city. After many years of being a general, being a warlord, they arrived to a city and they planned that tomorrow they're going to take over the city. He looks, he hears the name of the city. After 13 years, he said, you know, that was the city that I grew up in. That was the city that all my life I grew. That is the city where Rabbi Noam Elimelech lives. So he looked at all his generals and he said, we have to go tonight to conquer that city. I owe revenge to a man called Rabbi Noam Elimelech. So the general said, listen, if we go in the night, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very hard. We don't see. It's going to be much harder to take over the city. He said, you bring all the soldiers, we surround the city, we take the city tonight. They surrounded the city. They started to go block by block, eating block by block in the city. And they arrived to the center of town, to a small little house where there Rabbi Noam Elimelech lived. The general, this young boy that now is a big general, told all his soldiers, stand back. Stand down. This is my revenge. I am going to kill Rabbi Noam Elimelech. So he pulls out his sword. He tells all the soldiers to walk away from the house. He walks towards the house. He bangs down the door with his sword in his hands to kill Rabbi Noam Elimelech. And what did he see? He sees that it's Friday night, Shabbat. He starts to walk into the house, approaching the table of Rabbi Noam Elimelech where he's sitting in his family with his sword in his hand. And suddenly, he looks at his hand and he realizes it's empty. The sword he was holding, he's no longer holding it. He looks down and he sees that his uniform that he was wearing, he's no longer wearing it. He realizes that what is he wearing? A t-shirt that he was 13 years ago left by. He gets to the table and he looks down, he sees his hands are no longer hands of war. He sees that he's wearing the exact same clothing that he wore 13 years ago. Rabbi Noam Elimelech looks at him. He says, the first opportunity you had to come and kill me, and you took yourself the sword to come and to kill me. 13 years. You were in the army and you grew from tier to tier. The first opportunity you had to kill me, you ran to do it yourself. I told you, don't stay longer than 10 minutes. You stayed 13 minutes. 13 minutes. In those 13 minutes where he went outside with the koach of the Torah, what did Rabbi Noam Elimelech do?
13 years.
He made him live 13 years. That, Rabotai, is the koach of the Torah. The tzaddik, when he uses the Torah, when the tzaddik knows how to use the Torah for kedusha and to do the good thing, there's nothing in the world that can't be done. There's nothing in the world that can be changed. So, may this divrei Torah be le'ilui nishmat Iris bat Zohara ולאדם בן אולגה מרים בת גוטה ולהבדיל בין החיים לנפטרים, שזה יהיה גם רפואה שלמה לרבנית מזל טוב רירה בת שמחה.